It's such an honor to speak to you, my pal. I want to welcome you to our Tough Cookies program, courtesy of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I want to congratulate you on your induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Tell me, what has this experience been like over the last year with finding out that you were inducted and then the ceremony? What's it been like for you?
Well, it's been great. When we first were nominated and getting fans behind us to vote for us. And as you know, I was born in Youngstown, Ohio, so Cleveland was right up the street. So after starting in this business in 1964, I said, "Oh, we finally made it." Yeah, because after all, I mean, we were doing shows with Kid Rock, Elton John. We were doing Dire Straits. It goes on and on. Van Halen, et cetera, et cetera. So, I said, wow, they finally recognized us. It's great.
Well, those
So, to
legends
answer
were
your question, it felt good.
they were lucky to perform with you. Let me put it that way, because, sir, you have given us 60 years of musical excellence in this industry. I wanna take you back to the beginning. The band Kool and the Gang originally started as the Jazzy Acts, isn't that right?
Right. Right. Hmm.
Were you and your brother and your pals big jazz listeners first before you were listening to R&B and Motown, etcetera?
Well, kind of both. I mean, my brother was into John Coltrane, of course, and Spike was into Freddie Hubbard. Uh, George was Philly Joe Jones.
Mhm.
Uh, D.T. Cannibal Adley. Ricky West, Herbie Hancock. And, myself, I was to Ron Carter and Reggie Workman, Yeah, but at the same time, we were listening to a little Temptation, Judy on the Skin Deep, or the Motown sound, Stevie Wonder, James Brown, and etc.
Now, at a certain point, you were called Kool and the Flames. Uh,
Right.
what was the reason to change the name from the Flames to the Gang?
Well, actually, it went from the Jazzy Acts to the Soul Town Band.
Mhm.
Now, Soul Town Band was a group in Jersey City, entertainment group that wanted to be like Motown. So, we became the Soul Town Band, and they had the Motown Review.
Mhm.
So we had to learn these tracks of local talent singing Motown songs. So we had to learn a lot of Motown songs and a lot of also James Brown, etc. Now, leading up to James Brown, uh, we came up with the name Kool and the Flame, right?
Mhm.
And then we said, well, our manager at that time, you can't do that. He said, because you have James Brown and the Famous Flames.
Yep.
So we didn't want to have any problem with the Godfather. So we came back with a whole lot of different names. So we finally ended up with Kool and the Gang. And first record came out in 1969. The record, the album, and everything was Kool and the Gang ever since.
Man, I wanna show you, I've got my favorite Kool and the Gang album right here. I don't know if you can see. I've got I've got the Live at the Sex Machine live album,
Oh,
1971,
yeah, because that's Philadelphia. Sex Machine was in Philadelphia.
which is where I am right now, and I'm obsessed with this record, and I wanna know, if what are your memories of that night and recording at a club called the Sex Machine?
One of the memories, it was cold as hell in
Mhm.
this place. And when we did Live at the Sex Machine. But it was a lot of energy, uh, like which is to alignment, the different tracks that was on there. It was great.
Who's
It
Gonna
was great.
Carry That Weight? Oh, man, that is a classic. I love that song.
Who's
Uh
gonna take the weight? Yeah.
You have a Philly soul song on there, "Trying to Make a Fool of Me," that, Philly soul classic. Were you a big fan of Philly soul and what was happening here in Philly at that time?
Yeah, absolutely. You're talking about the Delphonics.
Yeah, that's
And we
right.
traveled on the road with the Delphonics, Stylistics, you know, uh, you know, uh, Philly was definitely, and we played at the Uptown.
The
We played at the
Uptown.
Uptown like 4 times a year. Yeah.
You know,
Uh,
the Uptown Theater is still there, and a lot of us here in Philly are working to try to get that place preserved. We would like it to be, you know, kinda like the Apollo in New York. We would like it to be, restored to its former glory.
are they still having shows in there?
No, no, it's just sitting there,
Oh,
and we sincerely hope that we can get something going there to honor all the incredible musicians like yourself that perform legendary shows there.
oh yeah. Well, let me know. I would love to do you part of the grand opening of the Uptown.
You
You
have
know,
you have had so many incredible shifts in the career of Kool and the Gang. One of the things I love about Kool and the Gang, over 60 years, you keep finding your lane. As the music business changes, as tastes change, you're always pivoting and doing something innovative. So I wanted to ask you about your experience in the disco era. In the disco era. You guys have the classic song on the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack. What was that
oh,
experience like being on what at that time was the greatest selling album of all time?
well, let's go back to what you're saying. You know, each decade.
Yeah.
You know, starting '69 and into the '70s, and then the '70s into the '80s. Let's go back to the '70s because after we had songs like Funky Stuff and Hollywood Swinging and Jungle Boogie with a record company, and we actually recorded Open Sesame recorded in Philly.
Did you do that here in Philly? It was it at Sigma Sound?
No, it was a place near the graveyard. They called it the graveyard sound.
Oh my god.
But then Michael King was Thriller, not Sullivan. Anyway, so let's go back to that. Coming up and recording a lot in Philadelphia, you know, we moved on with the Open Sesame and Jungle Boogie, Hollywood Swing, and Funky stuff. Now, it was a guy by the name of Dick Griffey.
Mm,
He had solo records. So Dick Griffey came to us and said, "Listen, we're on tour with the Jackson." He was promoting the tour. That's when Michael was still there. He said, "So you guys are doing great." He said, "But I think you need a lead singer." So we said, "You do?" And we thought about it. You had Maurice White, Philip Bailey, Earth, Wind, and Fire, Lionel Richie, Commodores.
mhm.
A lot of our tracks were where we could have had a lead singer at that time.
Yeah.
So we went on and we decided to do that. Now, Ymir Diodalo in,
Mhm.
West Orange, New Jersey, became the producer because he was working in the studio. And I think Frankie Valli was there recording, Meatloaf was there. So, we were recording in the studio in West Orange. And then that's when the owner of the studio said, "I got somebody to be perfect for you guys." We said, "Well, who?" His name is JT. He has a group called Filet of Soul.
Yeah.
So they came over and we met him. So my brother said, "Well, I want you to sing through these various chord changes." So my brother plays some jazz chord changes. He sang through that and played a little funk. And, uh, and he went through it and he said, "Well," he said, "you said, you sound like," I'm trying to think of the name right now. It'll come back to me. Nat King Cole. Yeah, like
Nat
a Nat
King
King
Cole,
Cole.
wow.
Yeah, like a young Nat King Cole. And so he said, "Oh, yeah." Anyway, we didn't audition anyone else. That was it. JT got the job. That's how it started.
Wow.
But the first record came out in 1979. We started recording in '78.
Mhm.
The first single was Ladies' Night.
Classic.
I, I was hanging out in New York, my wife and I, Studio 54, Regimes in New York. And we realized that every weekend was a ladies' night. So I went back to the guys. I said, "Hey, I got the perfect song or title. Put it this way, title for uh, for the album." George Brown had been working on a track, and along with my brother. And he said, "Wow, ladies' night." He said they have one of those all over the world,
Mm,
and we didn't know that that was going to be such a big record. Frankie Crocker broke that record in New York.
mhm.
Okay, and then it spread across the country and across the world. And that was when we made our change.
Cool,
Now,
was it hard to make room for a singer after not having a lead singer? Like, musically, in the arrangement, was it challenging to lay back and let the singer sing?
yes, because these title, and listen, I know what you guys are about, the jazzy side, because I come from a jazz side as well. Jameer did out. He said, but you got to make room for the singer.
Mm,
You guys just play all over the track. So that's when he, as our producer, he opened the tracks up. You got to kind of like back the singer and your music.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I remember when we did Celebration. Um, Dear Dollar, he came in, because my brother was the key writer of Celebration.
Mm,
He had like a 40-piece orchestra in the studio. So my brother said, wow, this is going to be great. You know, so, we recorded the orchestra with Celebration. And then when it came down to mix the record, they were in the studio mixing the record. And first of all, my brother didn't like the guitar part in the beginning.
mm.
So that sounded like a Michael Jackson record. Anyway, it turns around. We mixed it down. He took all the strings off. And my brother said, well, what happened to the orchestra? My brother was totally upset. He said, listen, this is the hit. He said, you want the strings? I'll record them and send them to you. That's not the record. This is the record. And he was right.
And the rest is history, as they say, because that song is, it's not just a hit. Celebration is a gold standard, okay? The song, will be played as long as music gets played. How do you know, as a musician, you've played on hundreds and hundreds of tracks, how do you know when you have a hit? Like, what happens in the studio after completing a song that makes you think, "This one's gonna go?"
Well, let's go back to Ladies' Night. Of course, I came up with the title. Uh, Two American Music Awards out in California. The vamp out on Ladies' Night. This is your night tonight. Come on, let's all celebrate. My brother said, "Where? That's another record." We get back to Jersey. He put this track together, and he called it Celebration.
Mm.
Now, Celebration was one of those down home type records. Maybe grandma and grandpa sipping on some Kool-Aid or some lemonade. And then you had the party from the Midwest, the Yahoo. It just had that group. Now, there were other celebrations. We had no idea that this celebration was going to be a great song that it has been over the years, over 30 something years.
Were there any songs, Cool, though, that you knew that would be a hit? I mean, just knew it was gonna be huge? Like, "Get Down on It," did you know that was gonna be a huge, iconic song?
Well, even before that, Hollywood Swing. We always wanted to go to Hollywood. We drove all the way out to Hollywood one time.
Mhm.
Uh, Jungle Boogie. We didn't know that that record was going to be the type of record it became. And then, of course, Funky Stuff. Funky Stuff was number one, I guess, 7 to 8 weeks on the R&B charts.
Didn't you
Okay.
do Funky Stuff, Jungle Boogie in the same day? Wouldn't it happen on
And
the
Hollywood
same
Swing. And
and
Hollywood Swing.
Hollywood Swingin'.
Yeah.
3 hits
Now,
one day, that's not a bad day.
hey, our back was against the wall. The record company came to us and said, listen, you guys are having territorial hits, like Philadelphia, Connecticut, maybe Washington area. He said, but there's a record out, and there's a producer that I would like, that they would like for us to be produced by. And it was the record was called Soul Makusa,
Mhm.
big record. So okay, we met with the producer, and we said we're not feeling this at all. That's when we went downtown Baggage Studio, downtown New York. We went in there at 8 o'clock in the morning. And when we finished, we had Funky Stuff, Jungle Boogie, and Hollywood Swing.
Classics.
No more problems for the record company after that.
I guess
So,
sometimes you gotta have your back up against the wall to make a great
and get
song.
down
We're
on
just
it. Get your
yeah.
back up off the wall and
Get your
get
back
down
up
on
off the wall.
it.
My
But that was a
man.
big record for us also, Get Down on It. You
Man,
know, right now they're playing Get Down on It and doing the Super Bowl, all the games, all the playoffs. You hear Get Down on
it
It
gets
as well.
bigger and bigger. I think
Yeah,
I like, when I go out to the clubs now, you it hasn't been a Saturday night if you haven't heard "Get Down on It." Like, it's that big now, in my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah, yeah. I can't say the strongest celebration, but it's right up there with celebration. I'll tell you that.
Well, listen, you have been responsible for 60 years of excellence in music. Um, I hope that you continue to crank out great records, put on great shows, but I also wanna call attention to some of the great charitable works that you have done and applaud you. Can you talk for a second about, Kool Kids and your foundation and what you've done with this work over the last few years?
Well, Cool Kids Foundation, my wife, my late wife, my wife passed over 7 years ago. But she came to me. She said, "How come you don't have music in the schools?" I said, "Well, I had it in the schools when I was in school. Had the music teacher, and I would go and the teacher said, well, I want you to try out the violin. Didn't like it. Cello, didn't like it. Mellophone, didn't like it. I ended up playing bass. But the fact that you were able to do that, you're not able to do that anymore. That's when she came up with that, and that's when we put together the Cool Kids Foundation. Now this year will be our sixth uh, fundraiser, and we raised a couple $100,000 for the various kids in school. And that's important. Another little story about that was that I was on tour with Cherry Coke, and we called it "It's Cool to Stay in School." And as each city we would have a meet and greet, and different students, if they had a good grade and not playing hooky from school, all that stuff, they would come and we would meet them. We were in Oklahoma City. The group came up to us and said, "Listen, we're doing good in school, but we'd like to sing something for you in a cappella." We said, "Oh, okay." So they sang three songs that they did in a cappella. And my cousin, who also has passed now, and his brother, we sent this group to New York. And that group became Color Me Bad.
Stop. You're kidding.
Color Me, that's how they were started. They was on
Wow.
the came to the coolest thing in school. And of course,
Wow.
they went on to be huge, as you know.
Humongous. A
Yeah.
classic vocal group. Well, you're doing great work. You've got the music, you've got the foundation, you're touring, you've been to dozens and dozens of countries around the world with Kool and the Gang's music, and now you are a champagne, uh, owner of this company, Le Kool. Tell us about being a champagne mogul.
Well, almost 10 years ago, I mean, I drink champagne from time to time. We're on tour, and the promoter comes up to us and he says, "Listen, how would you like to sell champagne at your concert?" And I think he was doing something with the late Barry White, one of the Bee Gees. So I said, "Well, I don't know if my fans gonna want to buy a bottle of champagne at the concert. They're gonna want T-shirts, caps, and autographs, and all that kind of stuff." I said, "But what I like to do," I said, "I want to get on the shelves." And he looks at me. "You want to get on the what?" I said, "I want to get on the shelves, like Dom Perignon, Veuve Clicquot, Dom Renard, you know." And he looked at me like I was crazy. So I came up with the idea, Le Cool Champagne. It had like a French vibe to it. It's a
Mhm.
part of my name. And we ended up meeting uh, uh, the people up in Rims, the Birchville family, where they also make all of that Dom Perignon, Cristal, and etc. And that's how it started. So, and I wanted to come to America as a surprise, like Eddie Murphy, the movie came to America,
Yep, mhm.
not knowing. People said, "Man, you crazy? You know how much millions of dollars it takes to be in the champagne business?" I said, "Well, that's fine." I said that at every celebration, at events, Super Bowls, whatever, they're drinking Dom Perignon. What song are they playing? I said, "So,
Celebration, baby.
why not?" that's how we started, and we're doing pretty good right now.
I love it. Listen, I could talk to you all day. Uh, I wanna congratulate you on your induction to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but mostly I wanna congratulate you on 60 years of excellence, 60 years of amazing bass lines, amazing songwriting, amazing performances, amazing records. I wish you and the rest of the gang and your family many years of good health, great music, and I wanna thank you for being here on the program with us today, my friend.
Well, thanks for having us, man. Thanks for having us.
Kool and the Gang's impact and influence on music cannot be understated. Funky grooves, impeccable songwriting, fantastic vocals, and a killer horn section. They're also one of the most sampled bands of all time. Their music has been the foundation for some of hip hop's biggest hits. Artists like Eric B. and Rakim, Tupac Shakur, Lil' Kim, and Jay-Z. We love having Robert Kool Bell and Kool and the Gang highlighted in this exhibit. Robert was born in nearby Youngstown, so having some Ohio representation in the class of 2024 is really special to us here at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Come check out the new inductees, the class of 2024 here at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. This exhibit will be open until the fall when we welcome in the brand new class of 2025. Thanks so much, and rock on.